Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2020-21 season. My name is Dan, and today I've given up into your peer pressure and I'm finally going to be doing a video racing your drafts that you've sent to me. So I put out a tweet asking me for you guys to send me some of your drafts. 250 of you replied with screenshots of your Gameweek 1 draft teams, and today I've narrowed it down to 10 and I'm going to sort of rate them and tell you kind of my thoughts on this. There was obviously loads of teams and I tried to pick 10 teams that were kind of, I guess, the most interesting, because a lot of the teams were fairly bog standard, fairly template, which is a good thing, might I add. That is a good thing, but I wanted to pick some teams that have some real nice talking points, something we can discuss about them. So hopefully, even if I didn't pick your team, even if you never sent your team in, there's going to be some things to take away from this. I really do think there is, and sort of get some ideas on some strategy as well as players you can think of to put in your team initially, because I'm talking about a little bit of the people's strategy who they've basically told me what they plan to do in Game Week 1, what kind of transfers they want to do in Game Week 2, that kind of thing. So we're going to be talking about quite a few things, and I think this is going to be a really interesting and useful video, if I'm quite honest. So if you do enjoy it, please do drop a like, please do subscribe if you haven't done already. I know 80% of you watching right now are not subscribed, and I'd really like to lower that down a little bit, and I guess boost the subscribers a little bit, because I am aiming for 20,000 by Game Week 1. But let's get in, let's get cracked on. So let's open up the first team here. So I've got my first team here from a young lad called Dan, STFC Dan. So his team is I would say pretty template. It's got all of the really important players that you want to have in your team: McCarthy, Alexander-Arnold, Vinagre, Aubameyang, Salah, sort of Mitrovic, Werner. These are very typical players that you will see in most of our teams, and these are really good players to have. They're really good players to have. The interesting bits sort of come in the form of Keita. Quite a nice differential, I think. I don't mind that as a differential at all, really. And then the other interesting thing, and this is the thing that I don't like about this team, because, by the way, this is a fantastic team. I really do like this. But the one thing is, and let's just double check this message, but yeah, what STFC Dan has said to me is that he wants to change formation to 3-5-2 and bring in KDB and Davis in for Son and Antonio during Game Week 2, so for his transfers there. My issue with this is that you've already got a couple of really good players on the bench there. So you've got Armstrong and Justin, who are going to pick up points. And that means these guys are wasting points on the bench, where you could just switch Antonio to Davis right now. And then next week, you don't have to take a -4. You can just do the one direct transfer from Son to KDB. You can go do the straight upgrade. You don't need to worry about taking a -4. But instead, Dan is going for a -4 Son and Antonio to KDB and Davis. It seems a little bit silly when you've got Armstrong and Justin on the bench for this week, who can cover you for this week, and then you can move on to your plan next week without taking a hit. Is Antonio really going to score that many more points than Armstrong or Justin? I don't think he is, to be honest. So it doesn't really seem worth taking the minus, and I'd probably just stick Justin on. I think Justin's got a really good chance of a clean sheet against West Brom. Probably will outscore Antonio anyway. So yeah, is Antonio worth a 1 week punt? I don't think so, personally. I don't think it's worth wasting a transfer on that particular move. So yeah, that would be my opinion on that. So yeah, just really good team, but just that one little thing that I don't like about it, which, again, interesting talking point. Okay, this next team has come in from Murray, Pugh. Again, some fairly standard players in there: McCarthy, Justin, Vinagre, Salah, Aubameyang, Mitrovic, Werner. These are in pretty much everyone's teams, I think, so let's glance over them. You can see here that Greenwood is on the bench ready to come in next week. Taylor's on the bench ready to come in for next week. Taylor, I've got no problem with being on the bench. Greenwood, perhaps you're wasting a little bit of your money on the bench, but you have saved yourself a transfer, so it's not that bad, really, for a player who isn't really that much money, particularly if Sancho doesn't come in. You're going to be really rewarded for being a little bit patient, even though it does mean that you've got to play Anguissa in Game Week 1, who, let's face it, is he going to get any points? He's probably going to get 1 point, if any. I don't even know if he starts. So that's my issue here. So Anguissa starting in the first week is not a particularly good thing for me. I'm not so keen on that. And the other thing, I just can't get my head around having Robertson over Trent Alexander-Arnold. I just can't bring myself to say that this is a worthwhile replacement, just because Alexander-Arnold on the free kicks getting 6 points every time he scores a free kick. It's just, it's just madness, isn't it? He can get so many points, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and he's going to outscore Robertson. So I can't imagine a team without Alexander-Arnold, and I'm not convinced that Robertson is an adequate replacement or adequate cover. So that, and just the fact that you've got to hope that Anguissa gets one single point, which I don't even know if he's going to do that. That is the only disappointment here, and perhaps you pick another 4.5 million midfielder, or you pick a proper midfielder there, such as like Maddison or someone like that. Maybe not Maddison, maybe more like Barnes, and then swap Barnes for Greenwood next game week, using your transfer. But I mean, I guess that's up to you. It's a little bit of a risk not having a full starting 11. Well, like barely a full starting 11. Going into game week 1, but it's a viable tactic, and I do like this team as well, to be fair. Now, this one I picked out because of the transfer plans that were sent alongside it. So this is from Hot Wheels. His team looks pretty good on the face of it. It's not too bad. There's a couple of interesting differentials, I guess, in there. Pereira interesting, Fredericks interesting, Richarlison. When you start looking at the bench, it's a little bit concerning. Martinez, Vinagre, Justin, not because they're bad players, but because they're players that you would probably want to be playing. And there's a lot of potential points on the bench there, / potential money on the bench. Now, like I said, the reason I flagged up this team is because the transfer plans that went along with it were a little bit worrying, if I'm honest, and seemed really, really wasteful. So he says ready for game week 2, he's going to do the transfer of Fredericks to Shaw. That seems a little bit silly immediately. Why not just play Vinagre or Justin, who will probably get more points than Fredericks in game week 1, and already have Shaw just sitting on your bench for game week 1, since it's just going to be a player sitting on your bench anyway. So just do Fredericks to Shaw now before game week 1, and drop Fredericks in for Vinagre or Justin. A lot of people are saying that Fredericks isn't even going to start, and actually the young West Ham right back is going to be starting, Johnson. People saying that he's going to be starting Ben Johnson. So Fredericks is to Shaw for your first transfer is not a good transfer, I'm afraid. It really isn't. Just do Fredericks to Shaw right now and then move on. The next transfer that he said he wants to make was Son to De Bruyne. Fabulous transfer, I like that. And then he wants to do Martinez to Ryan. And this seems a little bit silly as well. If you want to start with McCarthy and another playing goalkeeper, just start with McCarthy and Ryan right now. You don't need Martinez. When are you going to play Martinez? Martinez has got an okay game week 2 fixture. Game week 3 and 4 is bad anyway. So you'll be playing him potentially in game week 2, but then that's it. So you're wasting the transfer for the sake of playing Martinez over McCarthy for one game week. And again, this is assuming that Martinez even plays. There's a lot of debate on whether he will. I still think Leno is going to play above Martinez. So again, this is the kind of thing, sort of unnecessary transfers that you don't really need to make. But if you set your team up properly in the first place, well, not properly, but if you think a little bit more about how you're going to set up your team before game week 1 starts, you actually save yourself making a couple of transfers down the line. Every time you go for a FPL season, you're taking -4 hits. These -4 hits can be avoided by thinking a little bit further ahead of your transfers and genuinely considering, are these transfers that I'm making worth it? In this scenario, I don't think they're worth it, I'm afraid. But yes, let's move on, because we've got plenty of teams to go through. So this one came in from FPL Pelé, and it looks a pretty good normal team until you look at the 2 goalkeepers. And he sent the message to me, FPL Pelé, with the caption, "Premium goalkeepers rotation, trust me." I don't trust you. I couldn't trust you any less. This is genuinely... Now, I usually like to say, yeah, that could potentially work out, but this is one of the teams where I really want to warn you guys watching that this is never going to work out. It really isn't. So Alisson got the 11th most points last season for goalkeepers, so he's the 11th most high scoring goalkeeper, so below average. Ederson, the 9th highest scoring goalkeeper, so about average. And these guys cost 1 million, 1.2 million more than every other goalkeeper. If you just downgrade one of those 2 goalkeepers, then you can already upgrade sort of Bissouma on the bench there. You can move him up all the way to someone like Adama Traore. Can you afford Adama Traore for that? Possibly. Diego Jota, you could do him. and you've just spread your money a little bit more and created another fantastic on-field option that will get you far more points. Edison and Alisson will not score a lot of points. They will not score as high as McCarthy, as Ryan, as Leno, as all these guys who are playing for teams who are facing more shots, teams where the goalkeeper is more important within the team and will pick up bonus points as well. Alisson and Edison, the premium goalkeepers, they are so expensive and they offer you very, very little. I would never have one. The idea of having 2 premium goalkeepers is insane to me. It really is crazy. Yeah, I really don't like that. But apart from that, like I said, the team's actually not bad. It's pretty good. But yes, sometimes your team is always one tweak away from being a fantastic team. And I think this is an example of, yeah, I don't like it. I really don't like it. But let's move on. Here is another team which the basis of the basics of the team really like, but it's sort of a word of warning, and this team is from Alex Howarth 13. And yeah, there's a couple of things I don't like. It's not that I don't like it, but I think it's a little bit risky. So there's a couple of players who are a bit too much of a risk for me. So Perez, I don't know if he's done enough to justify going into a Gameweek 1 squad. Mount, with all of these Chelsea attackers and midfielders, they're all going to be sharing minutes, they're all going to be sharing attacking returns. Is Mount going to be in amongst it? Yeah, quite possibly, but it's a little bit risky. Another risk is Højbjerg. Højbjerg, I can't really imagine picking up many points at all through the season. Central defensive midfielders typically don't pick up points. So again, pretty risky. And then Ramsdale and Egan, doubling up on Sheffield United defence, I'm not so keen on to start off anyway. I'd like to see how Sheffield United get on a little bit before I start doubling up on them, I guess. So in isolation, each of these little risks, each of these little punts are great. These are what spice up our fantasy teams. This is what puts us above our opponents, and I love it. But when you put them all together in one team and you sort of got 4 big risks, I'm not so keen on that, because that's sort of half your team is built on risks. So yeah, that is how I'd sort of correct this team. But again, yeah, the basics of it, really awesome. I really like it. Now this team is from Bolinho V2, Bolinho, I guess. Team is looking pretty nice, actually. I do really like this team, and this is, I mean, I flagged it up because the only thing I don't like about it is Adam's captain. And I don't know if he actually hasn't set his captain properly yet, or he genuinely wants to do Adams as captain. I think Adams captain is the risk is not worth the potential reward. You'd be far better off going for Salah, Aubameyang, Werner in there as well, could score nicely. Even Son, even Alexander-Arnold. Basically, Adams would be one of the last people I'd captain in this team. But I really like this team. Other than that, I really like it. It's managed to fit in 4 premium, or at least 4 semi-premium or more midfielders, so it's a really strong midfield. It's got Werner in there, so a premium attacker as well. It's got a premium defender in Alexander-Arnold. It's got a couple of nice little cheeky punts in Ayew and Adams, who are I like them as strikers. It's particularly Adams, as you know, but Ayew going forward, he's got some really nice fixtures coming up, so that's going to be interesting to see how he turns out. Johnson, a good choice for a 4 million defender as well, but of course you've got Dallas and Ferguson on the bench there that could potentially rotate in future game weeks, so that seems to be planned for. But overall, yeah, I just like this team, and yeah, if you just move Adams' captaincy to pretty much anyone else, I think you're in for a real treat there. I think I like this team, so well done, good job. Next up, FPL Mafia. And this is, again, a team I pretty much like. There's a couple of, I guess, calculated risks in there. The double up on the Spurs midfield is pretty interesting. Again, this is a team which has gone all in on midfield, with a really strong midfield. Ali, Son and Ziyech. What I'm not so happy about is that there's no Salah. I don't really know how you can get away with no Salah. And I also don't know how you can get away with no Trent Alexander-Arnold. So these are the biggest risks that I personally would never take. But, I mean, you know, it's really risky, but I think the payoff is that there does have a potential to be payoff there. There is enough other premium players that could cover the points, I guess, with the exception of Trent Alexander-Arnold, which I think you do need to get in. But yeah, I'm not fully convinced, and the reason why there is so many holes in this team is because you can see there Fernandes is on the bench. Fernandes is wasting away all that money on the bench there. So although on the face of it, it looks really strong, as soon as you sort of realise there's no Trent Alexander-Arnold there, there's no Salah there, where is all the money? Oh, there's the money. It's on the bench with Fernandes. Probably going to struggle a little bit in Game Week 1. Is Fernandes more important over the season than Salah? Probably not. So you probably just instantly rather have Salah than Fernandes in your starting 11, wouldn't you? And then maybe you can downgrade Ali. Is Ali going to have an amazing season? Maybe. But I don't know. It's a little bit of a risk. Ziyech is even going to start the season because he's carrying a knock. So yeah, there are improvements you can be made. I think you do have to squeeze in Salah. If you can squeeze in Trent Alexander-Arnold as well, I think you'd be brave not to do that. So this is a very brave team. I don't hate it, but I do hate the money wasted on the bench with Fernandes. But there are things I like about this team, so it's not all bad. It's just super risky. It's really, really risky. So this team is from Lime Sports, sorry. We'll go through this fairly quickly. Generally speaking, I like this team. It's doubled up on Liverpool defence, so it's going all in on Liverpool as opposed to the last team which went not in on Liverpool at all. So this could be interesting, going on double up on Liverpool defence. I don't mind that at all. It's got Doherty as well, so super, super expensive defence here, really, because it's got all the main premium defenders, I guess. So I do like this. If this turns out to be a year where defenders are scoring all the points, this is going to be an absolute masterclass, this team. The issue is that means not as much money is spent further up the pitch, and I don't know if there's a clear pathway to some Manchester United players. You'd say that yes, there's pathways to Aubameyang could potentially go to De Bruyne or Sterling, but when you're trying to think of how you're going to get in Bruno, how you're going to get in Rashford, if you want him, Martial. Don't know if there's any obvious routes here. Ali is sort of a little bit too cheap to make the move to these players that you perhaps want. So a lot of money is tied up in defence. But if it's a good season for defence, this is going to be really good, right? So yeah, different, but still not necessarily bad. I would like to see more planning for City and Manchester United teams. Perhaps you already have that plan, but yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. Okay, this one is kind of interesting. 5 at the back. Pretty crazy, but why? Why is there 5 at the back? Well, it seems kind of obvious. It's because that front 5 is so expensive. It is the front 5 premium delight, I guess. They are good players, the front 5, with the exception of Firmino, and I can't help but think. And by the way, the 5 defenders that are on there, 6 if you include the goalkeeper, I actually quite like. They're a good bunch of defenders. But would you want to be playing all of them at the same time? I don't think so. I think if you're going to have cheap defenders, you rotate them rather than just play them all at the same time, I guess. And I can't help but feel that if you just downgraded Firmino, and because Firmino is super expensive, he's not going to provide value for money. I really don't think. I mean, anything is a risk. Anything could technically pay off. But I can't help but think if you downgraded Firmino to like Mitrovic, you suddenly got all of this money. You can upgrade Gordon on the bench there, Davis on the bench there, Oriol Romeo on the bench there. You can upgrade one of them and bring in another midfielder or forward who's actually going to get you maybe even the same amount of points as Firmino, and yet you don't have to play all of these defenders and you can start rotating these defenders. So it's a different tactic, which is not that I don't dislike the tactic, but yeah, Firmino... having Firmino for the sake and because you've got Firmino, the trade-off is you have to play 5 cheap, a load of cheap defenders. Yeah, I'm not convinced by it. But you know, it could work out, I guess. And finally, I wanted to finish on this one as just because it's a little bit funny, really. It made me laugh when I saw it. First of all, fantastic team as well. It really is quite nice. But there is one thing you may notice, and that's the captain's armband on Mitrovic. And another thing, when you look at that captain's armband on Mitrovic, it is white with black lettering rather than black with white lettering, because of course that is the triple captainship. So this guy, FPL Werner, is playing his triple captain on Mitrovic because, according to his Twitter profile, if he got 150 likes on his tweet, he would triple captain Mitrovic. The tweet got something like 800 likes. It was mental. It was crazy. So this poor guy, FPL Werner, is triple captaining Mitrovic for Gameweek 1. He's got a decent team, and yet he might be stitched up by this triple captain on Mitrovic for the rest of the season. But you know what? I will definitely be keeping an eye on Mitrovic to see if this team, this team comes off somehow. What a crazy game week this is going to be for FPL Werner. He's going to have an absolute roller coaster on this one, and yeah, good luck, mate. Good luck, genuinely, because that's quality. That you've done the tweet and you're following through with it. It's really funny, and you know, it reminds us all that FPL ultimately is about having fun, and this is fun. It really is. So there you have it. Those are the teams. I'm sorry if this video went on for a little bit longer than I expected, but there were so many teams to go through, so much to talk about. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this, want to see more FPL videos, please do consider subscribing, turning notifications on. I'm aiming to get to 20,000 subscribers by Gameweek 1, and I'm so close. I'm really getting there. So yeah, let's see what happens there. If you want to check out my description, I've got Twitter on there, Instagram, my mini league if you want to join my mini league, and Patreon as well if you want to support this channel financially and get a couple of nice rewards in return. Then you can do that. That would be really awesome. But aside from that, thank you so much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye bye.